All right, it's Sunday, and that means Cutlass Day, at least for the foreseeable future. And last week, we got this bar, that bar, that bar, that bar, that bar, all welded in. And for this week, we're gonna do some more back here. At least that's my current plan. And it's been a week. This is actually Friday night, and I'm actually gonna have to come finish this on Saturday morning because now I have two daughters in gymnastics and they're at different gyms. And then my third daughter is at a party over at another one of her friends' houses, or her friend's parents' house. Anyway, but yeah, it's been a week and now we're trying to get some work done on the Cutlass. But a little bit more chipping away on this thing so that eventually it can be sitting like that, which hopefully you watched our video yesterday from where we weighed this thing. And I'm actually kind of curious to see how my chassis will vary from this one, because at least as far as the weight, because my car will have some pieces of the factory frame in the back of the car, as well as down the whole side, out in the front, which a lot of it is going to get cut up. But we'll have to see. But let's get through the intro and then we'll continue on with this endeavor. All right, well, while you are here, or here on the internet, on the YouTubes, on the KSR Performance and Fabrication YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button, or at least give us a like and a thumbs up if you like race car building content. You know, if you subscribe, it at least keeps you in the loop as far as what we're doing. I still need to edit our Viper video from Pit Race. I'm not going to give away what happened in that, but it was exciting. Even though there weren't a ton of cars in our class, it turned out to be a pretty exciting race. And a big thanks to everybody who has bought merch recently from winwithksr.com. You guys are definitely keeping us busy, and you can see our merch all over there in the boxes. Yep, we still ship and take care of all of our own merch here in-house. And we've got, you know, slightly off-topic shop news. We've got an idea for some construction work here that will not only give us some more storage, but give us a separate room kind of for the merch. Because as you can kind of see what we got going on, everything ends up sealed up because, as you may can imagine, race car fabrication is dirty. Like, we wiped this car down not too long ago, and yeah, it's that dirty already. But that's just par for the course for a fab shop. We end up changing the filters out on the air conditioner very regularly because that thing runs all day now that it's getting into early summer. I guess it's not really technically summer, but it's hot like it's summer here in Florida. But anyway, what we're gonna do today is dig through here to try and get rid of some of this scrap. You can see there's, actually it's not scrap, it's still good chromoly tubing. A lot of it may have a bend in it or have been a drop from where we, you know, say we had an 8-foot piece of tubing and we needed a 6-foot piece of tubing. So there might be a 4-foot piece of tubing hiding down in there. And if we can use it, for the car, we might as well. Saves me some money. And the first thing I think I'm going to do, I need some 1.5 inches, and I'm going to go from here straight up to here, which it's not going to be straight vertically. It's going to be straight, like this notch right here will be 0. And you can see with that bar being at a little bit of an angle, it's actually going to be almost like the angle of what that looks like right now. So it'll have a notch to saddle this tube going that way, and then it'll basically be 90 degrees different, and then we'll just hand notch that right there. So this is 1.5 inches, this is 1 5/8 inches, this is 1 5/8 inches, and these bars do not have to be that big for the spec. And I kind of forgot to mention it in Steve's video, but I know Steve's got a decent sized trailer, at least behind the Bushmaster wagon. So we kind of went a little oversized. Actually, when we were originally building this car, we went a little oversized because this is 1 5/8 inches, that rail is 1 5/8 inches, 1 5/8 inches, 1 5/8 inches, 1 5/8 inches. And with that many bars back there behind the main hoop, it only has to be 1 1/4 inches per the spec. On my car, same situation, except on this car, we've gone 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. This is 1 5/8 inches, this is 1 5/8 inches. And the reason we're oversizing it, just like we did on Val and Steve's Camaro, is for the trailer carrying ability. Stuff you got to think about on a drag and drive car, because instead of just having the parachute pulling straight back on the car, you know, like that way, there's also an up and down movement from all of the trailer bouncing up and down on it. You know, a trailer has tongue weight, so whenever the car goes over a bump, or the trailer, you know, first the car goes over the bump, that puts a load into the trailer hitch, and then when the trailer goes over the bump, you know, that goes up and down, and that works back and forth on the trailer hitch. So we want to make sure that it's got some triangulation, because if you saw on Cletus's video recently, where it had broken the weld on the underside of this, and I could even see the gusset that I welded on top of Mullet, where it had already cracked there once, so we put an 1/8 of an inch thick gusset over top of it after we re-welded the crack, and it's cracked again. And that is because there is no triangulation bars like this car's got. And also, just like on this car, when the trailer hitch gets bolted to here, it's gonna bolt to somewhere, probably using this, and then it's gonna triangulate down to here too. So now that's a triangle to support the trailer hitch, instead of it just being, you know, a bar sticking out and being able to get worked up and down on and eventually break the sucker off, because that's just what happens when you work back and forth hard enough on thin tubing. Eventually it will break if it is not supported, which is why that little parachute bar that sticks out there, we are using 120 wall tube for that now, instead of 1 5/8 inches 083 or 1.5 inches, or so that's an 1 3/4 inches 120 wall, and then an 1.5 inches 120 wall tube slides right inside of it. So that's kind of what we've got going on there. Somebody just texted me. Oh, okay. But I've actually got to go get my girls, and then gonna be coming back and putting a couple hours in on this tomorrow morning. But at least we got the intro out of the way. This is my life. Kids, work, and eventually Cutlass. Yeah, now we're gonna get this thing done one way or the other. But today, it's time to go get my kids. See you guys in the morning. All right, so we're back the next day, and it's Saturday, and I wish I had remembered to keep the AC turned down, because it's already hot in here. I mean, yeah, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but we have our AC on a schedule, and normally on the weekend, you know, nobody's here, so it can go up a few degrees. Well, the problem is, seems like once it goes up, it doesn't recover. Anyways, it'll be all right. So first thing I'm gonna do is take some measurements of like the bar lengths that I need, and then I'm gonna go search and see what I can find. So I know for at least the one there, that one's gonna be 1.5 inches, and then these I'd be good with 1 inch or 3/4. Actually, maybe prefer 1 inch, just because of you know, the trailer situation that I was talking about earlier. And being that I undersized these a little bit, at least compared to Val and Steve's car. Anyways, I'll stop talking and get to work so I can actually get something done. Yeah, here we go. All right, so now that we've got some of the time lapse and the notching done, I wanted to show you guys a little more up close detail of the notching. Actually, I'm gonna use my phone, so let me switch cameras. All right, so I think I can actually get better detail on my phone than I can with the GoPros. So this is a piece of 1 5/8" tubing, and I've gone ahead and I've notched this piece just with, you know, the hole saw notcher. Now it's actually got 1.5 inch hole saw in it right now. We were using that one a second ago, but just to show you guys what kind of gap you can get. You know, that's actually, let's just leave it balanced there. You know, you can kind of see what kind of gap we can get with that. And before, so it's got just a little bit of rock to it, and that is just from that inside edge not being, you know, perfectly notched. But it doesn't matter all that much, because that one's been partially addressed. This one has not been addressed at all. So you guys can see this kind of, I've always called it like it's sharp like a razor blade there. Well, actually that's 1.5 inch notch, so you can see that's how that fits. 1.5 inch versus 1 5/8. But let's look at that on 1.5 inch tube. So if we were welding out here around this edge here, I don't want to be melting in just that razor's edge. I want to weld the full thickness of the tube here. So what I'm going to do, and you can kind of see I've done it on this end of the pipe because this is fit to the car already. I'm going to grind that so that I've got a nicer edge, and an edge that is the full thickness of the tube. So let me go get the grinder, just a side grinder with a 4-inch flap disc on it. I'm going to show you how I dress it up, and then we'll go show you how it fits in the car. All right, so back to the GoPro for a second here. And you guys can see this is the tool that I use, just a carbide with kind of smooth flutes. It's one that's been well used here in the shop. And that's what I use to take the burrs off the inside of the tube. And no matter what notcher you use, you're gonna have to do that. But let's show you what I do for this. And it's pretty simple. Just gonna take my grinder, flap disc, and I'm just going to tee it up and kind of lay that edge back. All right, so now, instead of having those really sharp edges, now you can see that I've got a nice big flat edge right there to weld that is the full thickness of the tube. So, see how that works right there? Try to get the right angle here. Yeah, now you can kind of see, this is way, way zoomed in, so that little gap down there is only about 10-15 thousandths of an inch. Yeah, this side actually shows it a little better. So you can see where we've got a nice thick spot to weld to. So I tried to explain that in a previous video, and then when I went back and watched the video, the GoPro wasn't focused all that well. So maybe this worked a little better with my phone, and actually I'm gonna try the same thing with the welding up close through the welding hood. So we'll try that in another video. Can't do it today because I'm the only one here. So we'll get back to fitting this. I'm gonna go over back to the car, go back over to the car, whatever. And we're gonna show you where this tube fits and what I'm working on over there with another kind of extreme example of what we're working with. All right, so we're back in the car. Maybe I'm in the camera, maybe I'm not, I don't know. And this bar is going to fit into here. Nice, tight, no gaps. But I want to fit a tube into here. Now, just like what I showed you a second ago, you can see we've got some very long, very thin notches that, well, for one, they won't fit at least on this side, because there's this X bar in the way right here. So we need to grind that fitment back and see that this bar might already be notched a little too short. But that's how we end up with scrap tubing. But let's see if I can hand notch that in and tighten that up. And those of you that are geometrically smart, geometrically, yeah, I think that's the right word, you can see that this distance to this distance is the longest part. Maybe down here to here would be just as long, but I want to fill this corner and have the notch actually fit up into both tubes, but also fit both tubes here. Well, that's not going to work without doing something really crazy here, because just like here, it can't fit in there. So what I'm gonna try and do, and it's gonna leave just a little bit on this tube not welded, like where it's gonna fit into here, because we're gonna knock this out. And actually I'm going to put a mark on where this is square, because that's what we're going for, so that I can put it right back in. There it is. Perfect. All right, so we know that goes there. Can knock this out. And yeah, it pushes it up, but then it comes back to where this is straight once it is all said and done and knocked into place. I've already got my hole drilled here. I've got another one up there. And now, yeah, that's going to be close. Let's see what happens. It's close. Actually, might just need to take a little bit more on the top there. Yep, I can tell that I am already too short, because the gap that I've got right here, like by the time I notch this to fit the other tube, that's about the angle that I want that in. And we've got a little gap right there, and then we've got a lot of gap right there. So I kind of miffed that one up a little bit. And that's how we end up with scrap tubing. But I couldn't do that again. So I'm gonna go remake that one real quick, since I've got all my dimensions, and then bring it back and show you guys it tack welded in. right, well, it's taking me a little longer than I thought it was gonna, so I went ahead and time-lapsed it, as you guys saw, and I'm pretty good with that. So I got a nice tight fit everywhere, which I think I've got a piece of filler, so not even enough gap to push a piece of 16th filler rod into, not even close in some spots. Obviously none of that. But I'm out of time for today for my dad duties. Got to go pick up the kids from a little party they went to this afternoon. So that's going to wrap up this video. I'm going to come in early on Monday, copy those. I did write down my dimensions, measured to where they get those fit in there, and then we'll weld those out. And then I might, like, the V there in the back may be what I do for the next video. Oh shoot, getting myself caught. But like I said, that's going to do it for today. Appreciate everybody watching, subscribing, following along. Hopefully you got a little bit out of the tips there in the middle. Kind of felt like that was maybe something that new fabricators might skip over, or you know, you guys that are doing this for yourself at home for the first time, or maybe it helps you make your project a little bit better. I definitely think that's the better way to do it, with welding to the full thickness of the tube there at the end of the notch. But maybe you've got a different opinion. But anyways, I gotta go. I'm already a few minutes late, so we'll see you guys next time.